The rain hammered the windshield like fists of regret as I gripped the steering wheel, my knuckles bone white, Sarah's empty wheelchair mocking me from the passenger seat. "Daniel, please," her voice echoed in my head, frail as the autumn leaves we'd once chased in Central Park. But now it was just me, barreling toward the George Washington Bridge with a bottle of bourbon burning in my gut and a heart screaming for release. In that split second, as the taillights of rush-hour traffic blurred into a crimson haze, I wondered if one final swerve would erase the decade of sacrifices, or if it would just drag her ghost along for the ride. I didn't die that night. Not because of some divine intervention or a last-minute surge of paternal guilt toward the life we'd built from ashes. No, it was him, Gabriel, who yanked me from the abyss, his hands steady on the wheel of my skidding truck, his voice cutting through the storm like a lifeline I didn't deserve. "Hey, man, eyes on the road. We've all got our demons, but you're not driving into them tonight." His words weren't poetry. They were gravel and grit, the kind of Brooklyn-bred bluntness that hits harder than a therapy session. I pulled over on the shoulder, the Hudson River churning black below us, and vomited up everything, the bourbon, the pills I'd dry-swallowed earlier, the weight of 8 years caring for Sarah after the car wreck that stole her legs and half her spirit. Gabriel didn't ask questions. He just sat there in the cab of his beat-up Ford, rain dripping from his leather jacket, offering me a smoke and a story about his own fuck-ups. A bar fight in Queens that landed him in the ER, a string of one-night stands that left him hollower than before. He was a paramedic, off-shift but always on call, with calloused hands that smelled faintly of antiseptic and the faint tang of cheap coffee. 35. Divorced, no kids, thank God, and eyes the color of the stormy Atlantic, framed by lashes that should have been illegal on a guy. We talked for hours, or maybe it was minutes. Time fractures when you're teetering on the edge. By dawn, he'd driven me home to our cramped apartment in Washington Heights, helped me inside without a word about the wilted flowers on the nightstand or the medical bills stacked like accusations on the kitchen counter. Sarah was asleep when we arrived, her breathing machine humming softly in the dim light of our bedroom. I thanked Gabriel awkwardly at the door, mumbling something about owing him a beer, but he just clapped my shoulder, firm, lingering a beat too long, and said, "You don't owe me shit, Daniel. Just promise me you'll call if the bridge starts whispering again." He left his card, scrawled with his number in blocky handwriting, and vanished into the gray morning like a fever dream. I crumpled it in my fist, then smoothed it out and tucked it into my wallet, right next to the faded photo of Sarah and me on our wedding day, her radiant in white, me grinning like an idiot who thought forever was a guarantee. That week blurred into a haze of routine hell. Mornings started with Sarah's physical therapy, her legs limp as forgotten promises while I coaxed her through exercises that yielded nothing but sweat and frustration. "I hate this body, Danny," she'd whisper, her green eyes, once so full of fire, now dulled by pain meds and resentment. "You should hate it too. Leave me to rot." I'd force a smile, kiss her forehead, and lie through my teeth. "Never, babe. We're in this together." Afternoons were my graveyard shift at the auto shop in the Bronx, wrenching on engines that at least obeyed when you turned the key, unlike the life we'd crashed into irreparably. Nights, I collapse on the couch, nursing a six-pack, staring at the TV's blue flicker until Sarah's nightmares jolted me awake. Gabriel haunted the edges of it all. Not in a stalker way, nothing creepy like that American Psycho bullshit, but in the small, insistent pulls of human connection. A text on day 3, "Coffee? No bridges involved." I laughed, a rusty sound, and met him at a dingy diner off Dickman Street, where the eggs were greasy and the waitresses called you Han. He didn't pry about Sarah, just rambled about the absurdity of New York winters, how the snow turns the subways into sardine cans of regret. His laugh was infectious, low and rumbling, like thunder rolling in from Jersey. Over refills, he admitted he'd seen my truck veering wild on the bridge cams, part of his off-duty scrolling, and followed on instinct. Call it fate, or stupidity. Take your pick. I opened up then, words spilling like oil from a busted line. The accident on I-95, how Sarah's SUV flipped after a semi clipped us, how I walked away with scratches while she lost everything below the waist. The surgeries, the rehab, the way our savings evaporated faster than my dreams of opening my own garage. I dropped out of community college, pawned my tools, even sold my vintage Harley to keep the lights on. She's my wife, I said, tracing the rim of my mug. I vowed for better or worse. This is the worse. Gabriel nodded, his gaze steady, not pitying but understanding. Vows are heavy, man. But they don't have to crush you. He reached across the table, squeezed my forearm. Just a touch, brotherly maybe, and something electric zipped through me, unfamiliar and sharp. I pulled back, blaming the caffeine jitters. Weeks turned to months, and Gabriel became the thread holding my frayed edges together. We'd grab beers after my shifts, shooting pool at a dive bar where the jukebox favored Springsteen over hip-hop. He'd drag me to pick up basketball games in Riverside Park. His athletic frame, lean muscle from hauling gurneys, dribbling circles around my rusty defense. Come on, Daniels, he'd tease, sweat gleaming on his olive skin. You fix cars, not excuses. Sarah noticed the shift. Her smile's tentative when I'd mention, my buddy from the bridge. He sounds nice, she'd say, fiddling with her blanket. Bring him over sometime, I deflected, guilt gnawing like rust. But the cracks were widening. One night, after a brutal therapy session where Sarah lashed out, "You're only here out of pity, aren't you? Poor crippled wife. Noble husband." I stormed out, fists clenched, and called Gabriel. He met me at his place, a loft in Bushwick cluttered with medical texts and half-finished canvases. He painted in his spare time, abstracts that bled emotion in blues and grays. We drank whiskey neat, the burn loosening tongues. I love her, I confessed, head in hands. But it's killing me. Every day, a little more dies. Gabriel knelt in front of me, his hands on my knees, voice soft as fog. Love shouldn't be a cage, Daniel. It's supposed to set you free. His thumb brushed my cheek, wiping away a tear I hadn't felt fall, and the world tilted. Our eyes locked, breaths mingling in the lamplight, and then his lips were on mine, tentative at first, then hungry, like he'd been starving for this as long as I had. I froze, then surged forward, hands tangling in his hair, tasting salt and smoke and forbidden want. It wasn't fireworks. It was a dam breaking, years of suppressed ache flooding out in gasps and grips. We tumbled to the floor, clothes shedding like old skin, his body against mine a revelation, hard planes and soft yields, nothing like the careful tenderness I'd known with Sarah. Gabriel whispered my name like a prayer, his touch mapping scars I didn't know I carried, and for the first time in years, I felt seen, not just survived. Guilt crashed in with the dawn. I bolted before he woke, the loft's door clicking shut like a guilty verdict. Back home, Sarah was waiting, her chair by the window, eyes sharp. You didn't come home last night. Her voice was even, but the hurt sliced deep. I lied, work emergency, crashed at a buddy's, and she let it slide, but the air thickened with unspoken accusations. Gabriel texted, last night was real. Talk to me. I deleted it, then undelete, staring at the words until they blurred. The affair ignited like dry tinder. Stolen hours in his loft, frantic and fevered, where I'd lose myself in the curve of his neck. The way he'd murmur poetry, actual goddamn Pablo Neruda, against my skin. I want to do with you what spring does with the cherry trees, he'd say. And I'd laugh, then moan as his hands proved the metaphor. But reality clawed back. Sarah's declining health, a new infection that landed her in Mount Sinai for a week. I'd visit daily, holding her hand through the 4 drips, promising eternity while my phone buzzed with Gabriel's pleas for more. I can't keep doing this, I told him one night, postcoital haze shattered. It's betrayal. Pure and simple. He cupped my face. Fierce. Or it's survival. You deserve joy, Daniel. Not just duty. The conflict simmered until it boiled over at Thanksgiving. Sarah's brother, Mike, a Wall Street shark with zero bedside manner, flew in from Chicago, sniffing around our finances like a bloodhound. You're drowning, Dan, he said over turkey and tension, Sarah dozing in her chair. Let me help, nursing home, full-time care. You could start over. His words twisted the knife. Was this mercy or abandonment? I snapped. She's not a burden. But inside, Gabriel's echo whispered otherwise. Mike left suspicious, and when Sarah confronted me later, is there someone else? I see it in your eyes, I shattered. No, babe. Never. But the lie tasted like ash. Winter gripped the city in ice, mirroring the frost in our marriage. Gabriel pulled away, respecting my silence, but his absence ached worse than presence. Then came the night that redrew everything. A blizzard dumped 2 feet on Manhattan, power lines snapping like brittle bones. Sarah's machine failed midstorm, alarms blaring in the dark. I fumbled for the generator, hands shaking, but it sputtered dead. Panic clawed my throat as her breaths shallowed, blue-tinged lips parting in silent pleas. Hold on, I begged, dialing 911, but lines jammed with citywide chaos. Desperation birthed madness. I wrapped her in blankets, hauled her chair to the truck, muscles screaming from the cold, and drove blind through whiteout streets toward the ER. Halfway, the engine seized, snow-clogged and unforgiving. We stalled on the FDR drive, horns blaring from invisible cars, Sarah fading in my arms. Danny. Love you. Her whisper was a ghost. That's when headlights pierced the veil. Gabriel's ambulance, siren wailing like a banshee. He'd been on call, rerouted by fate or sheer stubbornness. He burst from the cab, assessed in seconds, oxygen mask, vitals check, then carried her to the rig himself, me trailing like a shadow. In the ER waiting room, fluorescent hell buzzing overhead, he found me slumped against vending machines, coffee gone cold. You saved her, I choked out, gratitude warring with the storm inside. He pulled me into a supply closet, sterile shelves of gauze and regret, and kissed me fierce, no words needed. I couldn't lose you, either of you, but as Sarah stabilized, transferred to ICU, the betrayal loomed larger. Nurses whispered. Mike arrived, eyes narrowing at Gabriel's familiar face. "Who's he?" Sarah asked weakly when I finally sat by her bed, her hand limp in mine. "A friend." I lied again, but her gaze pierced. "The one from the bridge?" The climax hit like a freight train 2 weeks later. Valentine's Day, a cruel joke in our fractured Valentines. Sarah, home now but fragile as spun glass, demanded truth over takeout lo mein. I saw the texts. "Danny. While you showered. My phone. Left charging. A digital breadcrumb trail of miss you and come over." The room spun. It was a mistake. "One time." Lies. She cut in, voice steel despite her frailty. "I know you, Daniel. You've been gone for months." Tears streamed. Hers silent accusations. Mine confessions unspoken. "I love you," I pleaded. "But I fell for him." Gabriel. "It's not just sex. It's everything I lost in the wreck." Her laugh was bitter, broken. "So I'm the villain? The wife who chained you?" "No, never," but the words stuck. Mike burst in then, alerted by her frantic call, fists balled. "You son of a bitch. After all she's endured." He swung, connecting with my jaw in a crack of bone and betrayal. Gabriel arrived, how? I don't know. Pulling Mike off, his paramedic calm diffusing the brawl. "Enough. This isn't helping her." Sarah watched, expression unreadable, then wheeled to the window, back to us. "Leave," she said to me, voice hollow. "Both of you. I need space." I moved out that night, crashing on Gabriel's couch. The loft no longer a sanctuary but a cage of what-ifs. Days bled into weeks of limbo, court dates for separation, therapy sessions where I unpacked the closet I'd hidden in since college experiments dismissed as phase. Sarah filed papers swiftly, her lawyer citing irreconcilable differences. But Mike's influence greased the wheels for alimony I couldn't afford. Gabriel was my anchor, cooking pasta in that cramped kitchen, holding me through nightmares where Sarah's chair rolled into the void. "We'll figure it out," he'd say, fingers tracing my wedding ring scar. Love isn't zero-sum, but the humanistic gut punch came in spring, cherry blossoms mocking renewal on the mall. Sarah reached out, not for reconciliation, but release. Coffee at a neutral spot in Midtown, her in a powered chair now, courtesy of Mike's guilt money, cheeks flushed with unmedicated color. "I don't hate you, Danny," she started, stirring sugar she wouldn't drink. "I hated the prison we built. You sacrificed everything, your youth, your fire, for me. But staying would have killed us both." Tears welled, mine first. "I betrayed you," she nodded. "Yeah. But forgiveness isn't absolution. It's freedom. Go live. For both of us." Gabriel waited outside, leaning on a lamppost like a sentinel. As I emerged, Sarah's chair whirring away toward a future without me, he pulled me close. No grand gestures, just his hand in mine, steady as the bridge we'd crossed. We walked the High Line that afternoon, tourists parting like Red Sea, the city unfolding in greens and golds. It wasn't a fairy tale ending. Sarah remarried a year later to a physical therapist with endless patience. Their wedding invite a quiet olive branch. Gabriel and I, we opened that garage together, his business smarts, my grease monkey soul, nights tangled in sheets that smelled of home, not escape. Love, turns out, isn't about perfection or unbroken vows. It's the messy rebuild after the crash, choosing joy amid the wreckage. And in the rear view of my life, with Gabriel's laugh echoing over engine roars, I finally saw the road ahead. Not straight, but ours. The divorce papers hit like a sucker punch from a ghost, certified mail, crisp and impersonal, arriving on a muggy July morning when the AC in my new Bushwick sublet wheezed its last. I was elbow-deep in a carburetor rebuild, Gabriel's radio blasting old-school hip-hop to drown the humidity, when the envelope slapped the workbench. Daniel Harper, final decree, Sarah's signature, looped elegant as ever, beside the judge's stamp. Freedom, or failure. I signed anyway, the pen scratching like claws on my conscience. Then texted Gabriel, "It's done." Beers? He showed up with a six-pack and that crooked smile, the one that crinkled his eyes and made my chest ache in the best way. "To fresh starts," he toasted, clinking bottles on the fire escape overlooking graffiti-splashed warehouses. The city hummed below, sirens, laughter from a rooftop party, the eternal grind of ambition. We talked about everything and nothing. His latest shift rescuing a kid from a subway track. My dream client who wanted a '72 Mustang restored to showroom glory but haggled like a flea market hustler. But under it, the unsaid loomed, my lingering guilt, his quiet fear I'd bolt when the novelty wore off. That night, we made love slow and deliberate, his body a map I'd memorized but still explored like undiscovered territory. Afterward, tangled in sheets sticky with sweat, he traced the faded tattoo on my bicep, a Celtic knot from my wilder days, and asked, "What now? For us?" I wanted to say forever, but the word stuck, scarred by Sarah's echo. "One day at a time," I murmured, kissing his temple. It was truth, raw and American, piecing a life from diner wisdom and dive bar epiphanies. Summer unfurled in a rhythm that felt dangerously like normal. The garage Harper and Hale Auto, our joint venture, took off, word of mouth from Gabriel's ER buddies bringing in banged-up cop cars and soccer mom minivans. I'd sweat under hoods by day, evenings blurring into dates, street fairs in Dumbo where he'd win me a stuffed bear at ring toss, or quiet nights at his loft painting me with a brush, him guiding my strokes, laughter mixing with turpentine fumes. "You're a natural," he'd say, but it was his hands on mine that sparked the real art. Yet shadows lingered. Mike, Sarah's brother, became a specter, anonymous reviews tanking our Yelp score, whispers in legal circles delaying our business license. "Petty bullshit," Gabriel growled over takeout one night, scrolling the one-star rants. "Unreliable owner. Shady dealings." He's lashing out. Let it roll off. But it burrowed, reminding me the betrayal's ripples touched innocence. Then came the call from Sarah herself, voice steady over the line. "Danny, can we talk? Not about us, about Mike." Intrigued, wary, I met her at a cafe in the village, neutral ground where tourists chattered oblivious. She looked transformed, hair in loose waves, a scarf fluttering like optimism, her chair no longer a cage but an extension of grace. "Mike's spiraling," she said, sipping chamomile. "Lost a big client. Blames you for distracting the family. Those reviews? Him? From burners." Shock mingled with pity. The shark, reduced to keyboard warrior. "Why tell me?" She shrugged. I soft. "Because I know redemption's a two-way street. And I'm happy now. Engaged, actually. To Tom, the therapist. He gets the chair, the fight, You deserve that too. Her words unlocked something, a valve releasing pressure I'd carried like an extra lung. We hugged goodbye, awkward but genuine, siblings in survival rather than spouses in stasis. Driving back, windows down to taste the harbor breeze, I blasted U2s with or without you, screaming lyrics until my throat rawed. Gabriel waited with burgers and a knowing grin. Good talk, I nodded, pulling him close. The best kind of closure. Fall brought its own tempests. Gabriel's ex, Lila, a fiery graphic designer who'd left him for a gallery curator, resurfaced, drunk dialing at 2 a.m. About unfinished business. I overheard, jealousy flaring hot as a blowtorch. It's nothing, he assured, deleting her number, but doubt seeded. Was I just Rebound 2.0? My own insecurities flared in barbs. Late nights at the shop became avoidance. His shifts, excuses. One argument escalated in the loft. Words flying like shrapnel. You think this is easy? I yelled. Loving a guy who's fresh off a straight marriage. Still half broken. He fired back, hurt etching his face. I didn't save you to watch you self-sabotage. If you're done, say it. The silence after was deafening, a chasm wider than the East River. I crashed at the shop, sleeping on a cot amid oily rags, wrenching alone until dawn. Pride kept me away 3 days. Regret dragged me back on the 4th, key turning in his lock with apology trembling on lips. He opened the door, shadowed and somber, but pulled me in without a word. Our reconciliation fierce and wordless. Bodies colliding in forgiveness. Breaths sinking like engines tuned perfect. Winter whispered warnings of deeper fractures. Holidays loomed. Sarah's invite a test. Joint dinner with her. Tom. Mike. Begrudgingly reformed. And us. Family 2.0, Gabriel joked. But nerves jangled. The night arrived crisp and candlelit in their new Brooklyn brownstone. Scents of roast and rosemary masking tension. Mike shook my hand stiffly. Water under the bridge, his eyes avoiding Gabriel's. Conversation flowed halting. Tom's stories of adaptive sports. Sarah's new nonprofit for spinal injury advocacy. But when Gabriel's hand brushed mine under the table, a casual anchor, the room shifted. Mike's fork clattered. This is why. His voice cracked. Old wounds reopening. Sarah intervened, calm as a mediator. Mike, enough. Daniel's journey isn't your grudge, but the damage seeped. Gabriel tensed beside me, withdrawing into polite nods. Later, in the car, he unloaded. Your ex's brother glares like I'm the devil. Makes me wonder if we're fooling ourselves. I gripped the wheel, heart pounding. He's an asshole. You're my everything. But doubt echoed. Was our love resilient? Or just resilient enough to bruise? The real storm brewed in February. A nor'easter dumping sleet that locked the city in gray. Gabriel's shift turned nightmare. A multi-car pileup on the BQE. Victims clawing from twisted metal. He came home hollow-eyed. Scrubs blood-flecked. Collapsing into my arms. One didn't make it. A dad. Same age as you. We held vigil that night. My stories of lost shop jobs pulling him from the dark. But trauma lingers. His touches grew hesitant. Nightmares jerking him awake sweating. I countered with normalcy. Brunch at Sarabeth's, where he'd steal my bacon and grin boyish, rebuilding brick by tender brick. Spring teased thaw, but betrayal's ghost struck anew. Anonymous emails flooded my inbox. Photos of Gabriel at a bar with an old hookup. Timestamps from last summer. Prius, but damning in context. Sender? Mike. His digital fingerprints faint but there. Rage boiled. I confronted him at his office, storming glass towers in Midtown fury. Leave us alone, he smirked, unrepentant. Protecting my sister. You broke her. You don't deserve him. Fists clenched. I walked, but the poison spread. Gabriel saw the pics. Face ashen. Ancient history. But it hurts you see it. Trust. That fragile alloy. Bent under strain. Climax crested in May. During Pride, irony thick as rainbow confetti. We marched with thousands down Fifth. His hand in mine a defiant banner. But midway, Mike appeared, protest sign in hand. Not rainbow but venom. Betrayers don't belong. He shoved through, face twisted, shouting, "You ruined her." Chaos erupted, pushing, yelling until cops intervened, hauling him away in cuffs. Gabriel froze, parade's joy curdling. This is what we fight? Back home. He packed a duffel. I love you, Daniel. But the baggage. It's crushing. Heart in freefall. I begged. Don't. We're stronger. He paused. Bag dropping. And we shattered together. Tears. Accusations. Then raw honesty. I saved you once, he whispered. Let me save us now. We called Sarah. Her voice mediated. Weary wisdom. Mike's in therapy. For all of us. Forgive the mess. It wasn't absolution, but a bridge mended. Summer solstice found us on that rooftop from the prompt. Rain lashing, city lights fracturing. Not suicide, but reckoning. Gabriel on one knee. Not with a ring but a key to a house upstate. Green space for dreams uncramped. Build with me, yes, 1,000 times. Our love, forged in American grit, betrayals weathered, emotions bared, bloomed humanistic, not perfect, but profoundly ours. The upstate house was a fixer-upper in every sense, a creaky Victorian on the edge of Hudson Valley farmland, with peeling gingerbread trim and a yard choked in wild blackberries. We bought it on a whim, or maybe desperation for roots deeper than city concrete, closing in late June with scraped-together savings from the garage's banner quarter. Gabriel handled the paperwork, his paramedic precision turning chaos to order, while I daydreamed of a workshop in the barn, tools hung like talismans. Our blank canvas, he called it, slapping paint samples on the fridge. But I saw ghosts, Sarah's chair in every doorway, Mike's sneer in the floorboard's cracks. Moving day was a circus of U-Haul mishaps and summer thunderheads. Boxes labeled kitchen, fragile hearts, and bedroom, second chances, tumbled amid laughter and curses as we wrestled the couch up spiral stairs. Neighbors waved from picket fences, folksy types withdrawals softened by Yankee Reserve, welcoming us with pie that tasted like nostalgia I couldn't quite place. That night, first in our new bed, windows open to cricket symphonies, Gabriel traced my ribs in moonlight. Feels real, he murmured. I nodded, throat tight, because real scared me more than the bridge's edge. Life upstate settled into a cadence both alien and addictive. Mornings, I'd commute to the city twice weekly for shop oversight, leaving Gabriel to his freelance consulting, training new EMTs on trauma psych. Afternoons blurred into home front battles. Me hacking ivy from the garden, him rewiring outlets with YouTube tutorials, our domesticity punctuated by stolen kisses amid sawdust. We adopted a mutt from the local shelter, Rusty, a terrier mix with one ear flopped eternal optimism, and walks along the rail trail became ritual, his hand swinging mine, conversations meandering from quantum physics, his secret nerdery, to carburetor quirks. But integration wasn't seamless. Pride's aftermath lingered. Mike's arrest made local news, a blip in the Times about domestic dispute at parade. Sarah called. Apologetic. He's sorry, really? Therapy's peeling layers. I forgave, tentatively, inviting them for Labor Day barbecue. The gathering was tentative truce. Tom grilling with quiet competence. Sarah wheeling through wildflowers. Mike nursing a beer with downcast eyes. I was wrong, he grunted to Gabriel. Handshake firm. You make him happy. That's enough. Gabriel clapped his back. Grace incarnate. Hurt people hurt. We're good. Fall foliage painted the valley in fire, mirroring inner shifts. I started therapy, solo sessions in a cozy Poughkeepsie office, unpacking the straight man facade I'd worn like ill-fitting armor. Bisexuality isn't betrayal. My counselor, a no-nonsense lesbian named Rita, insisted. It's expansion. Gabriel joined once, his vulnerability a gift. Stories of high school crushes on the quarterback, suppressed for family optics. Our intimacy deepened, not just physical, but emotional cartography, mapping fears with flashlight honesty. One night, over cider by the fire pit, he confessed, I was scared you'd wake up one day. Choose normal. I pulled him close. This is my normal. You. Yet conflict brewed in subtler forms. The garage faltered, recession whispers cutting clients, forcing layoffs that included my right-hand mechanic, Javier. Bills mounted, echoing old specters. I snapped at Gabriel over grocery runs, projecting scarcity. We're not Sarah's burden, he'd counter, but resentment festered. Then came the health scare. Gabriel's annual checkup flagged irregular heartbeat stress. The doc said, but EKGs loomed. Waiting room vigils flipped our roles. I held his hand, whispering nonsense about vintage bikes, while fear gnawed. If it's bad, he trailed. Shut up, I fierce whispered. You're my forever mechanic. It was benign, adrenal spike from overwork, but the scare catalyzed change. We pivoted. Gabriel cut shifts. I expanded the shop to eco-retrofits, solar charging EVs for green-leaning locals. Community wove us tighter. I coached Little League, Rusty as mascot. He volunteered at the firehouse. Our queerness a quiet badge in a town more curious than cruel. Holidays shimmered. Thanksgiving with Sarah's crew. Christmas tree trimming to Dean Martin croons. New Year's kiss under valley stars. Spring 2026 bloomed betrayal's final echo. An old shop client, bigwig developer, offered a buyout. Fat check but strings. Relocate to Albany. Straight-laced suits over Greece. Temptation whispered security, erasing Mike's sabotage scars. I hid the proposal, mulling nights while Gabriel slept. Guilt mirrored old sins. Was I dooming us to another crash? Discovery came gentle. He found the folder in my truck, confronted over breakfast pancakes. Talk to me, Daniel. Don't carry alone. Tears mixed with syrup. I spilled ambitions, fears. It's us or stability. He smiled sad. Stability's a myth. Choose heart. We declined. Doubling down. Crowdfunding a co-op model. Locals investing sweat equity. Success surged. But the real win was trust. Burnished brighter. Summer solstice circled back. Rooftop memory now valley picnic. Blanket spread under oaks. Gabriel unpacked a box. Not key, but rings, simple bands, tungsten tough. No vows this time, just promises. I slipped mine on, salt blurring gold. To the mess and the magic, humanism rooted deep. Sarah's wedding that fall, me walking her aisle in a chair-adapted ceremony. Gabriel best man with rye toast. Mike, sober 6 months, hugged me fierce. Our love, a testament not to perfection, but persistence. In America's heartland sprawl, we built not despite scars, but through them romantic, raw, redeemed. 2 years into the valley idle, complacency crept like morning mist, subtle, then shrouding. The garage thrived as community hub, locals dubbing it the queer fix, half joke, half pride. Gabriel's heartbeat steadied, his laughter freer, but I caught him staring at horizons sometimes, fingers drumming like unspoken itches. Penny, I'd ask, pulling him from reverie. Just dreaming big, he'd deflect, kissing my temple. I chalked it to cabin fever. Upstate charm paled against city's pulse, or so I feared. Truth surfaced in autumn gales, leaves whipping like accusations. Gabriel landed a fellowship, prestige gig at Johns Hopkins, trauma research in Baltimore. 6 months, maybe a year, he said over stew, eyes alight. Joy warred with dread. My anchor, adrift, go, I forced, masking panic. It's your shot, but nights after, bed vast and cold, doubts swirled. Would distance dilute us? Reignite old ghosts? He left in November, U-Haul echo of our move but reversed. Airport goodbye was airport cliché, hug tight, promises texted, his flight boarding too soon. Alone, the house echoed, rusty whined at empty hooks, my tools felt heavier. I buried in work, late nights tuning engines to drown silence, but Sarah noticed during our monthly calls. Missing him? She'd probe, voice warm from her nonprofit's growth. Like a limb, I admitted. She laughed, Tom chuckling background. Love's not loss, Danny. It's latitude. Video dates bridged miles, him in sterile dorm, me firelit, sharing days in pixels. His lectures on PTSD neural paths, my saga of restoring a '65 Corvette for a drag queen's comeback tour. Intimacy adapted. Sexts evolved to voice notes husky with want, packages arriving with his scent on hoodies. But cracks spiderwebbed, time zones gapped, his exhaustion muted replies. A missed anniversary, forgotten amid symposium, sparked my flare. Am I background now? He apologized profuse. Flowers FedExed, but hurt lingered like oil stains. Winter solstice brought betrayal's twist. Not mine, but fate's cruel jest. News alert mid-shift. Baltimore ER shooting. Gunman targeting first responders. Gabriel's name in the crawl, paramedic hail. Critical. World grade. I drove reckless to the airport. Rusty's howls haunting. Phone glued to trembling hand. Sarah met me at arrivals. Her drive from the city a blur. He's tough, she soothed, but her grip betrayed fear. Hospital wait was purgatory, vending coffee bitter as bile, walls whispering worst cases. Then the surgeon emerged, grazed artery, blood loss heavy, but stable. Awake, asking for Daniel. Relief buckled me. Sarah steadied, tears mutual. In recovery, Gabriel was pale specter, tubes snaking, but eyes found mine fierce, alive. Told you. Demons chase, he rasped. I clutched his hand. Not anymore. Convalescence chained him home. Our valley nest. Ironic sanctuary. I became caregiver redux. Irony not lost. Bedpans with humor. Wound checks gentle. Role reversal. He quipped, wincing through PT. Payback for the chair days. But depth emerged. His vulnerability peeled layers. Confessions of fellowship burnout. City's allure fading against our quiet. I missed you, us, more than accolades. Healing mended more than flesh. Trust, tested, tempered stronger. Spring thawed revelations. Mike, of all, visited, unannounced, bearing craft beer and amends. Heard about the shooting. Figured you needed backup. We talked real. His therapy unearthing father's homophobia. Projected onto me. I was the betrayer. Pushing Sarah to fix what wasn't broken. Forgiveness flowed. Beer loose. By fire pit. He toasted Gabriel's recovery. Rusty at his feet. Family's messy. But worth it. Gabriel's fellowship extended remote. Papers from the porch. Laptop glowing dusk. We traveled light. Weekend in Rehoboth. Beach walks hand in hand. Waves erasing footprints. Pride that year. Virtual panel he keynote. Me cheering from the shop's livestream. Rainbow wrench in salute. Romance reignited in small flames. His sketches of me wrenching. My playlists of Springsteen ballads for slow dances in the kitchen. Yet climax loomed in summer swelter. A client dispute escalating ugly. Big city developer. Same who'd tempted buyout. Sued over botched hybrid conversion. Claiming negligence. Court in Albany dragged. Depositions dredging my past. Sarah's accident. Distracting personal life. Whispers of my queerness as liability. Mike's old reviews resurrected. Stress peaked. Gabriel's wounds ached phantom. My sleep fractured. They're painting me villain again, I vented. He pulled me close. Or hero. Fight for what's yours. Trial climaxed in a stuffy courtroom. Judge's gavel echoing judgments past. Testimony raw. Javier vouching my ethics. Sarah testifying character. Daniel's sacrifices defined him, but his heart freed us. Gabriel's closing statement. From witness stand, love doesn't distract, it drives. Verdict. Our favor, damages covered. Jubilation outside, hugs, tears. Mike even there, thumbs up from the back. Fall harvested growth. Gabriel published, book tour modest but proud. We hosted Harvest Feast. Sarah, Tom, Mike and his new boyfriend, Poetic Justice. Tables groaning under pies. Laughter healed oldest wounds. Toasts to betrayals buried. Emotions honored. To second acts, Sarah raised glass. Eyes twinkling. Winter wrapped us cozy. Snow blanketing sins. On our anniversary, 3 years since rings, I proposed redux. Not knee, but stargazing hill. Meteor shower backdrop. Marry me? For real this time. His yes. Whispered snowsoft. Sealed it. Wedding small. Valley chapel. Rusty ring bearer. Vows handwritten. Promises of storms weathered. Joys multiplied. Our story, dramatic tapestry. Betrayals as plot twists. Romance as through line. Humanism in the weave. American as apple pie with a queer twist. Flawed. Fierce. Forever building. Marriage morning dawned golden. October leaves a crimson carpet to the chapel. A stone affair perched on Shangum bluffs. Wind whispering blessings. I paced the vestry in rented tux. tailored sharp, but nerves jangling loose, rusty at my heels, bowtie askew. Gabriel, in the groom's room, texted a selfie, tousled hair, grin lopsided, ready to make it official? My reply born ready. Love you, hail. Vows exchanged at noon, guests sparse but heartfelt. Sarah matron of honor, her chair festooned daisies. Mike best man, speech mercifully short. Tom officiating with wry chaplain humor. Daniel and Gabriel, two souls who crashed into each other. Rebuilt from the wreckage. Rings slid smooth. Kiss ceiling, cheers erupting. Rusty's bark solo. Honeymoon was Hudson cruise. Lazy days on deck with gin fizzes and history books. Nights in a riverfront inn where lovemaking echoed waves. Husband, Gabriel tested. Post-glow. Fingers laced. The word settled like homecoming. Back Valley. Life amplified. Joint accounts. Shared calendars. The profound ordinary of coffee runs and chore charts. Garage expanded. Apprenticeship for queer youth. Gabriel teaching stress workshops. Community embraced. Pride float that June. Our restored Mustang. Rainbow wrapped. Us waving kings of the parade. But drama's embers smolder. A year in. Sarah's call shattered idle. Cancer, she said. Voice steady but edged. Stage 2. Aggressive. Irony's bitter pill. Her body betraying post-rec. We rallied, drives to chemo in the city. Me holding basin during nausea. Gabriel monitoring vitals pro. Mike crumbled. Old armor cracking. Family therapy sessions in her living room. Tears excavating grudges. I should have seen your pain sooner, he confessed to me. Post-session beer in hand. Blamed you for my failures. Absolution mutual. We bonded over her bedside. Stories swapped like lifelines. Sarah's fight was fierce. Trials, remissions, relapses, a plot twist demanding resilience. Gabriel's expertise shown. Navigating trials, advocating with oncologists. My role? Anchor, reminding her of firecracker spirit. Remember Paris? Essay, evoking honeymoon photos. Eiffel Tower lit like your soul. Laughter through pain, her hand in mine echoing wedding vows. Tom steadfast, but we were her village, human web of support. Climax crested in spring rain, hospital vigil as monitors flatlined false alarms. If I go, she whispered to us, foredripped and ethereal, don't mourn the end. Celebrate the plot. We did, her passing in June. Surrounded by lilacs and loved ones. Was Bykitch tragic? Peaceful exhale. Legacy in non-profit scholarships. Funeral Riverside. Eulogies heartfelt. Mine on sacrifices redeemed. Gabriel's on love's latitudes. Mike hugged me after. Broken open. She loved you still. Always. Grief's wake was storm-tossed. Gabriel retreated to abstracts, paints slashing canvases black. I welded sculptures from scrap, twisted metal into soaring birds, channeling ache to art. Therapy tandem. We unpacked widowhood's shadow, hers for me, his fresh. Betrayal was the accident, I realized. Not the love after. Summer healed slow. Memorial garden planted. Her plaque amid roses. Mike visited weekly. His boyfriend Eli a quiet addition. Dinners evolving to brothers in arms. Fall brought renewal's whisper. Gabriel's book sequel. Dedicated to Sarah, warrior of second chances. Garage fundraiser for her foundation. Turnout massive, rainbow flags mingling with wheelchairs. Romance rekindled in embers. Anniversary hike to our proposal hill. Picnic of her favorite quiche. She'd approve, he said, head on my shoulder. Of this happiness, years layered like Hudson strata. Rusty grade, retired to porch naps, we fostered pups. Cycle renewing. Mike's wedding, us groomsmen. Toasts to family reforged. Gabriel mentored med students. I judged auto shows. Our queerness elder statesmen now. Mentoring young couples through coming outs. Betrayals, faded scars. Stories for campfires. Once, I drove to a bridge. Laughter now. Wisdom won. 50. Gray threading temples. We sat fire pit, valley quiet. Stars indifferent witnesses. Regrets? He asked, hand warm in mine. None. You? I kissed his knuckles. Saved by the best. Humanistic coda. Life's not linear triumph, but mosaic of falls and flights, dramatic arcs, emotional depths, romantic threads weaving betrayal to belonging. In America's vast, flawed canvas, our love painted bold, not ending, but enduring.